kind of dirty, but it can be done. So those are the methods that they used to do before they could trade the metal kettle. You can imagine the advantage. You put the ingredients in, you go do your work. You come back in a couple hours looking good, you know, and then off doing your work again. Nobody's having to tend the darn macaque all day long. A lot of historians think that the metal kettle was the most significant single item the family could acquire at the coast. It so profoundly revolutionized their daily life. Of course, historians like to argue about that. Some feel it was the gun. I mean, the difference between hunting with modern weapons, of the time it would have been the flintlock musket. They were able to make very efficient war and hunt really well, as opposed to stone pit tools and arrows and spears. And clothing themselves in animal skins as opposed to cloth from the store, from the fur post, which is a store of sorts. Now, we love leather clothing. We think it's gorgeous, and it is. It's beautiful, it's supple, it's sensuous, and we pay big money for well-made leather clothing. And it really is great until it gets wet. And then it's cold and kind of slimy and clammy, and it takes forever to dry by the fire, and when you do finally get it dry, it's stiff and it chafes. Cloth. Why do we love our wool socks? They're warm even when they're wet. And they dry quickly by the fire. And imagine what it would take to get a new buckskin shirt. Well, you had to kill it to start with. Then you had to skin it, tan the hide, and after a couple of weeks of doing that, then you could start to sew a shirt. So all these things are really important. The fur trade for both the native family and the voyageurs and fur companies was a mutually beneficial operation. Both benefited hugely from it. The companies got paid and got rich, and the natives got all this neat stuff that revolutionized their life. The metal tools and the pots and pans and the cloth and the guns and all of that stuff. So it was a thriving business. It was the business in America for the first 200 years. It built America from the mid-1600s to the mid-1800s, when the country was open for settlement and mining and lumber and farming began to dominate. Okay, so the natives are here in the winter. They trade all winter long and they have a successful season, and come spring, as soon as the ice is off the river, they bail up the furs and they're out of here to sell those furs and make money. The Ojibwe live here. They have to transition to the next season and the next harvest activity. So at the end of March, early April, they know that the maple trees will begin to run with the sap. And it's time to move. So they gather up all their stuff, all their belongings, their pots and pans and clothes, and they load them onto their sleds and toboggans. They put on their snowshoes, and they gather up the only domesticated animal the Ojibwe had, which was the dog. Exactly. Native peoples all over the world have dogs, and they contribute really enormously to their life. The dogs the natives had were half wild. They didn't have to take care of them. They fed themselves. They hung around camp and cleaned up camp. This is hunting camp. They ate all that stuff generated by the cleaning and processing of animals. They also ran off all the little varmints that might rob the family of their possessions, their food stores, their raccoons, the squirrels, the chipmunks, the mice, and all that stuff. The dogs took care of those too, plus their natural alarm system. Nobody sneaks up on camp with the dogs out, right? And when you need them to do a little work, you can get them to do that. So you hook them up with the toboggans and sleds, and off you go at the end of winter to the spring harvest, the sugar bush. Now, each family had its designated stand of maple trees that was its sugar bush. It returned there every spring to process the maple sap from that sugar bush stand of maple trees. Now, mom, dad, 2 or 3 kids and an elder, probably grandma or auntie, can't do sugar bush alone. You might have 50 to 100 maple trees to tap. So the rest of the family at the coordinated time joins them at Sugar Bush, comes from their hunting camps. All the brothers and the sisters and the aunties and uncles and the cousins join. And you form a workforce that can do Sugar Bush. So you arrive there, over here. So, off you go with the dogs and
Real quick before we get to sugar bush, what would they do with the lean-tos? Would they just leave them in place?
They would
and
leave
come
the
back
frames
to it?
in place. They would roll up the birch bark off the top of their wigwams and take it with them. And leave the frames in place. Correct. And just take all their belongings. And get to Sugar Bush, which is a permanent camp, and there will be frames in place there. They can put that birch bark on top of it. Set up camp. There'll also be a big wooden rack where that they hang kettles from over an area where they would build fires. That would still be in place unless it rotted and fell down and they had to make a new one. There would be a storage wigwam on site that would hold all the sap gathering baskets that they have in need to collect the sap from the maple trees. They might need a couple hundred or more baskets. This is a McCuck made for sap gathering. It's a quick crescent fold to create seams that don't have to be sewn, and a quick whip stitch rim around the top. This is a sap gathering McCuck. There'd be hundreds in that storage wigwam. They would unpack those. Let's pretend this oak tree is a maple tree. In 1802, this would be a puny little maple tree. This was virgin forest. Trees were like this. So, now we do sugar bush the same way today, essentially, in the same process. We gather the sap, we cook down the sap, we make maple syrup generally, because that's what we want. But the natives didn't have flour, and they certainly didn't have pancakes. They didn't want syrup, and how would you transport and store syrup anyway? They wanted maple sugar, which is made the same way. You just keep cooking it down until it gets thick like a fudge, then you let it cool and harden like a brick. And that's what they did. They tapped their trees with a sumac branch that hollows out. It makes a great tree tap. It also, with a very soft core wood, hollows out easily and makes great pipe stems. So they would tap the tree, cut a V-shaped notch in the bark, pound it in, tap the tree, collect the sap, and pour the sap into the big kettle over the fire and cook it down. Now before they could trade